Turn one soul ring.
Do you need a pair of glasses?
Nope.
No, you good?
No, I can see fine. I had something in my eye.
You can see fine. I just got something in my eye. I recently watched that Aaron Hernandez documentary on Netflix. Did you watch that?
Don't know what you're talking about, actually.
Oh, he's a football player.
Okay.
Yeah, you're not a sports guy, are you?
I am not a sports guy, like, at all. Like, I've watched soccer and Formula One, like, the things that I've...
I'm not either. I'm not a sports guy at all.
Okay.
Which I didn't even... It makes sense that you're not a sports guy either, right? We're doing this show that has nothing to do with sports.
at all.
But, like, the rest of my family is like, oh, sports.
Sure, yeah.
But it's just funny because I didn't even realize you were not a sports person. But it's refreshing. But anyways, it's a good documentary.
We should really talk about football every day.
We should,
at the beginning of the podcast.
Soccer. I don't know. It's football if it's CFL, but it's football if it's...
They should never call it football because all you do is kick the ball at the very beginning of the game and then you run it with it in your hands the rest of the time. Why is it football?
I agree. Soccer, calling football, if it's soccer, makes way more sense because all you do is kick it with your feet.
All you do. Football.
I know.
Anyway.
I know. It's absurd. But anyways, I have been watching the new Ted Bundy documentary on Prime, and it is great. Even if you don't like the whole true crime thing, it's more about his longtime girlfriend at the time and his girlfriend's daughter, and the whole... It just focuses more on the victims, which is really refreshing because a lot of true crime documentaries don't do that.
They always focus on the actual killer. Yeah.
As sort of he's the antagonist of usually he is the antagonist of the story, but it's still, it was just really refreshing. So even if you don't have Prime, like go and, get it however you get it, but it was very good. I cried, but I have a baby daughter, so it's a little, it was a little close to home for me.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to think about that for a sec. I was like, what? Because I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, Eric's like, I've seen her around. She's... Yeah, well, like, the thing is, like, with babies, when they still have to be carried everywhere, it's like, you're not, like, a full-on person yet. But anyways, this is Turn One Soul Ring. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Eric.
And today on the show, we'll be Dexplaining my Xantcha Sleeper Agent Commander deck. Before we get to the deck, let's cover a couple of things that are new or noteworthy in the world of Magic. Eric, what do you got? What do you got for us?
Nothing Magic related, actually.
Oh, boy.
Oh no.
Oh, my goodness.
But
turn off the show.
So something has launched into beta, and so I downloaded it, and I've played it a little bit. And so this is called Legends of Runeterra. So
like Rune, like R-U-N-E?
Yeah. But it comes from, so League of Legends is a very large PC game that's been around since like 2005 or 6 or something.
Are you a PC gamer?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But so they're a really big company. They obviously see Hearthstone, they see Magic and stuff, and they want to like do other games.
Oh, well, they want that money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're doing their own card game, and it's called Legends of Runeterra. So it's in beta right now. I'm pretty sure it's also on Mac.
You're gonna have to send me a link because I'm already into this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And playing the game for a bit so far, I find it actually really interesting because it's got a lot of strategy to the cards. It's not as much as RNG as like what Hearthstone is. And
that RNG.
Yeah.
I try to stay away. I try to stay away from variants. You know me.
And it has a really interesting turn order that kind of pulls a little bit from Magic in terms of like how they do things, which is also really cool as well.
Okay.
Yeah. The games go every single round. You get an extra mana, kind of like Hearthstone. So there's no lands or anything. You just have spells in your deck. Every single round, the person who's allowed to attack switches. So the attack token goes back and forth. So it's like round one, I can attack you can't, but we each have 1 mana. Round 2, we each have 2 mana, but now it's your turn to attack. So it goes back and forth like that. And you're able to play spells on each round as well and to use up your mana. So it's like...
And are creatures or minions affected by summoning sickness?
They are not.
Okay. I like it. I like it.
Yeah, there's no more haste or anything like that.
I'm already in.
You can play creatures. So this is the really cool part I like about the combat phase. Is like you can play creatures on your turn and attack with them. How it works is your one main phase. You can play creatures, but you can also choose to attack whenever you want. So now, if I'm playing, I get to play a card, then you get to do something. So if I play a creature, you're able to play a creature. So at the beginning of my turn, if I feel like I have a good enough board state, I can attack first, which doesn't let you play a creature at all on the turn.
Right.
But if I want to build up my board bigger and I play a creature, it gives you a chance to also play a creature to defend with. So it's a really interesting back and forth that you can have.
Yeah, that is an interesting strategy.
Yeah. It was really cool. Like figuring out the turn order and stuff was really interesting. And then spells have 3 modes. You have slow spells, which you can only cast during non-combat stuff happening. You have fast spells, that can be cast at any time, but people can still respond to them. Then you have burst spells, which you can't respond to at all. It's just like this goes on the stack and happens.
So it's like sorcery, instant, and split second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's really cool as well because on top of your 10 mana that you get, so like increases every single turn, if you have mana that's unspent, you also have 3 pips for spell mana. And so that can have up to 3 extra mana in it to cast only spells, which is not creatures.
Wow.
Yeah. So then that can also be like a little bit of reserve to like be able to cast spells a little bit more.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
So playing the game so far a little bit, I'm enjoying it. And it feels a little bit more like playing like Magic in like a limited format.
Right.
Just because of how many cards are like in each deck and stuff. And like it really matters about the board state.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a really interesting take on the combat aspect of card games.
It is, yeah. It's like it's different and fresh in a way that it's like it's a different enough card game that it has its own real feel. So
cool.
Yeah.
Well, you got to send me a link for that.
I will actually. Yeah.
I got to find out if it works on Mac.
Yeah.
Because as you all know,
can't play Arena.
No, I can't. I just I'm lazy. I'm a little lazy. I'm not that lazy.
But still, like if you just can't play it on your operating system, it's annoying.
Yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's our Magic news. And we're going to get to the main topic of the show here. We're going to do a bit of a lore explanation of Xantcha, as we like to do when we do a deck. We're not going to get too much into the story of Xantcha because it's pivotal to the story that we're doing for our Patreon lore content series.
She is literally in the books that we're talking about in the lore series.
It's just like it's like the shirt off of your back.
Yeah.
So we're just going to do a very brief synopsis on Xantcha before we get to the deck. Xantcha was born a Phyrexian newt on the Phyrexian plane, obviously. Phyrexian newts were designed and created to live undetected among humans on various planes throughout the multiverse. Pretty cool. Newts appeared to be human without any of the artifice modifications known to Phyrexians. Many newts had no idea that they weren't human, which is like kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's like you're a Phyrexian, but you have no idea.
Yeah, no idea. Yeah. They were to record their observations and send that knowledge to Phyrexia, where it would eventually be used in the invasion of Dominaria. It always makes me think of the card No Mercy, which was it's one of those cards that it's a black enchantment, and whenever a creature deals combat damage to you, that creature is destroyed. But the flavor text on that card is "We had years to prepare, while they had mere moments."
Did you write that down?
No, I just remember that was a foil that my brother opened in a booster pack.
Okay.
So it's very like
it's,
Christmas morning, the Christmas tree. Like my brother's like hitting me, saying, "Get away from me! Don't take my card."
What's the mana cost?
I think it's 2 and a black.
Super close. 2 and 2 black.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
But yeah, and it's by the flavor text is Carrick Sleeper Agent.
Right, yeah. Another sleeper agent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Many newts had no idea that they weren't human. They were to record their observations and send their knowledge to Phyrexia. Overseeing Xantcha's group was the Inner Circle member Gix, who we've talked about
All this is very familiar.
a little bit. Yeah. Gix was a mighty Yawgmoth praetor. Xantcha was sent to the first sphere of Phyrexia, the least dangerous of the 9 spheres, and was taught how to survive on the planes she would be sent to. That's where we're going to leave her story for the time being, as we don't want to spoil our dedicated lore series that covers Xantcha's whole story.
It's super interesting.
Xantcha's
pretty cool.
It is very interesting. And you could go to patreon.com/Turn1SoulRing and have you tell you about it.
Yeah. You got our little episodes. Kevin's read all the books, has a synopsis to give off, and I'm learning about it for the first time.
Yeah.
And we're having good conversations.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun.
Just like listen to it while you're going to bed.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's all good.
It's like a storybook.
So, as we always do, we're going to talk about how this deck wins.
First off, we should say, yes, we see that we have actually done a lot of red-black
in
a row.
Yeah, we have. That's right. It's totally like
coincidence.
It's just a complete coincidence.
But the next one will not.
Yeah, we'll
sure.
have it'll be blue, red, and green. It will have nothing to do with Rakdos. It's just
Red's part of Rakdos. What are you doing?
You're right. It'll have nothing. It'll have nothing to do with Rakdos.
Okay, we should just do band, and then we'll be.
Yeah, we'll do band. Yeah, we're fine. Yeah, it was just a total. Black's good, right?
Black's
I
a
think
good
that's
color.
what happened here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, this deck's main win con is draining all of our opponents for lethal damage. We can do that by ramping hard, casting big X spells, and copying those spells. In this deck, Xantcha is essentially a card draw engine, but she also works to drain a particular opponent, and she pushes damage through to our other opponents, although she can be a win condition with enough mana and some combo pieces.
Ooh.
The deck also has ways to slowly drain our opponents for bits of damage throughout the game, creating a situation where our big X spells don't cost as much. And what I mean by that is,
If our opponents have 20 life instead of 30, we don't have to pay as much into the X spell.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So it sounds pretty linear, but there are a few cards in here that are just like fun and kind of like group hug cards, if you can think of group hug and a Rakdos
Kind of way.
play style.
Yeah. Even like Xantcha herself is kind of group hug.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
For the opponents that don't control Xantcha. So, we're going to move on to the deck categories. So, let's just read Xantcha. So, Xantcha is 1, a black and a red for a legendary creature minion. She's a 5/5. That's a good rate.
3 mana, 5/5.
Yeah. Xantcha Sleeper Agent enters the battlefield under the control of an opponent of your choice. Xantcha attacks each combat if able and can't attack its owner or planeswalkers its owner controls. And you can pay 3. Xantcha's controller loses 2 life, and you draw a card. Any player may activate this ability.
Oh, so this is weird.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Did we have a time when we played last where someone controlled Xantcha and didn't attack? Our last get together?
Maybe, and no one noticed?
Yeah, I think so. I'm thinking that now.
Yeah, I'm going to have to put a dice
on
my library for Xantcha.
Yeah.
I have a special Xantcha dice. A Xantcha. Yeah. All right, so I don't know. I got really weird with that one. So let's start off with card draw and selection. Eric, why don't you take it away, buddy?
So, hitting off everything here, first off is Allure of the Unknown. This is a new card, right? Or is it a reprint?
It's new.
Sweet. So 3 of anything, black, red, for a sorcery. Reveal the top 6 cards of your library. An opponent exiles a non-land card from among them. Then you put the rest into your hand. That opponent may cast the exiled card without paying its mana cost.
Yeah, this is one of the group hug cards.
This is a really cool card.
Yeah, it's super fun. Like, you draw 5 cards. Your opponent, you choose your opponent that's doing the worst in the game.
Yeah.
They get the best one. Everybody wins. You're like, hey, I'm doing you a favor, right?
Yeah.
It's like a better fact or fiction that only costs 1 more mana.
I'd say so.
And that isn't an instant.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, any sorcery that is a sorcery would be better as an instant. We don't need to
That's-
say that. I know I just said it, but come on.
But it's like drawing 5 for 5. You're like, sure.
Yeah.
My opponent gets one good thing, but I'll have lots of other stuff.
And specifically my opponent that's doing the worst.
Yeah. So then they'll feel helped by you.
Yeah,
You
they
have
owe
little-
you, and they're also going to, like, help. Hopefully it's not a board wipe. There's a lot of board wipes. So, okay, next up we have Bolus's Citadel. It is 3 and 3 black for a legendary artifact. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play the top card of your library. If you cast a spell this way, pay life equal to its converted mana cost rather than pay its mana cost. And you can tap, sacrifice 10 non-land permanents. Each opponent loses 10 life. Yeah.
It's still a good ability. I think people forget about that ability sometimes. They're
for
always
sure.
worried about the looking at your top card and getting gas stuff, which for obvious reasons, because that's what always happens.
Yeah. But it is, if you're in a game where people are paying life over and over again to cast spells or activate abilities, it's a resource. So if it gets low enough, like, you can kill people.
Yeah,
with-
10 damage
with
isn't
that
anything to
ability.
scoff at.
No, it's a fourth of your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I really enjoy just being able to look at the top card of my library at any time.
Yeah.
You're like, extra card in my hand. Heck yeah.
Yeah. It's an 8. Yeah, you have an 8 card hand.
Yeah.
You have a 9 card hand because you also have your commander in your command zone.
There you go.
Yeah.
Card advantage.
Or if you have partners, then you have a 10 card hand.
Hey.
Yeah. Value Town.
We're hitting Value Town. Next up is Experimental Frenzy. So this is 3 of anything in a red for an enchantment. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. Oh, if Bolus's Citadel and Experimental Frenzy is at the same time, you should look at the top 2. They like stack.
Wouldn't that be nice?
You may play the top card of your library. You can't play cards from your hand. And then for 3 of anything in a red, you destroy Experimental Frenzy. So you can play the cards in your hand again.
Yeah, unlike Bolus's Citadel, you can play lands
Yes.
because Bolus's Citadel is cast.
Yeah.
But a lot of times when I'm playing this deck, I don't have any cards in hand, so Experimental Frenzy is...
Pure card advantage.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just like get through the deck. It's like per turn you'll draw 1 card as well, but it's like you'll probably just be playing from the top of your deck for a while or until the game ends.
Yeah, I should play like Anvil of Bogarden so I don't actually draw any cards.
Oh, you could do that.
I could.
You could, yeah.
All right, next up we have Humble a Defector. It is 1 and a red for a human rogue 2/1. You can tap it to draw 2 cards. Target opponent gains control of Humble Defector. Activate this ability only during your turn. Ooh, I run this card in my Kiki Jiki deck, and like I only ever get the value off of it because like I make the token and then it gets sacrificed. Right? When I pass it.
Nice. But even this deck, again, it's good political stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can make a friend. Mm-hmm. I like this card a lot too.
For sure. Yeah.
I felt sad that I had to wipe the board after you gave it to me, but
Hey, that's how it goes.
how it goes sometimes. Can't let Riley go off.
No, you can't.
Next up, Knight's Whisper. 1 of anything in a black for a sorcery. Draw 2 cards, lose 2 life.
Classic. Just like Sign in Blood.
Yeah.
After that, we have Pendant of Prosperity. It's 3 mana for an artifact. Pendant of Prosperity enters the battlefield under the control of an opponent of your choice. And the activated ability is pay 2, tap, draw a card. Then you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield. Pendant of Prosperity's owner draws a card, and that player may put a land card from their hand onto the battlefield.
Cool.
So you just make a deal with another player, and you're just getting card advantage and ramp.
Yeah. And they have to pay for it still.
Unless somebody ruins it for you both.
I don't know what you're talking about. If I see 2 opponents ramping, I'm going to
ramping
that kind of
getting card advantage.
It's like that's got to stop.
Just remove that.
No. Next up is Read the Bones. 2 of anything in a black for a sorcery. Scry 2. Then draw 2 cards. You lose 2 life.
The Scry 2 is really what puts this card over the top.
Yeah.
Right? Because, draw 2 cards. Like, if it was just draw 2 cards, lose 2 life, it would be just a strictly worse Sign in Blood or Night's Whisper. But because you get that Scry for just 1 extra mana, it just makes
I'd pay the 1 extra mana for the Scry 2. Any day.
Yeah, I'd only pay 1, though. I don't think I'd pay 2 extra mana. I'd pay 2 and 1. Like 2 black and a colorless.
Okay.
But I don't think I'd pay...
Yeah, 4 mana.
4 mana.
That's fair.
I might, though. You never know. When you're playing monocolored, you have to make some difficult decisions. Right? We've all been there. But we're going to move on to the rampies of this deck. So first up, we have Basalt Monolith. So if you don't know what Basalt Monolith is, I guess I'll read it to you. It's 3 mana for an artifact. Basalt Monolith doesn't untap during your untap step. It taps for 3 colorless, and you can pay 3 to untap Basalt Monolith.
So you could tap it for 3 and then use that 3 to untap it. You could tap it and untap it infinitely.
Yeah, and then it's like you have a 99 card deck.
Yeah.
Yes.
But yeah, this is, even if you don't get to untap it for free, it is like some turns you just get a more explosive card to play.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not like Mana Vault is like the broken version of this because Mana Vault hits you for a damage on upkeep if you don't untap it. But you have to pay 3 to untap Mana Vault during your upkeep specifically. So, yeah, I think this is a bit of a... I'd probably just run both in Voltaic Key and Manifold Key.
Sure, yeah. Just be able to untap them.
Yeah, for 1.
Yeah. This deck also has a Charcoal Diamond in it. So 2 of anything for an artifact. It enters tapped, and you can tap the artifact to add black.
It's kind of crazy how expensive this whole cycle of cards is at this point.
Just they haven't gotten a reprint, and they enter tapped.
And they're uncommon. They were printed in Tempest, and then...
And it's like...
a core set, and then
Signets
Commander
are just
2014.
straight up better.
Yeah, they are. But if you want another 2 mana rock in a monocolored deck that doesn't have green, it's a good option.
No, it is totally.
But yes, there's no reason that these cards should be $2 a piece. It's a bit much, if you ask me. Next up, we have Curse of Opulence. It's 1 red for an aura. Enchant player. Whenever enchanted player is attacked, create a colorless artifact token named Gold. I don't even have one of these tokens. I think you'd have to get the one from Journey into Nyx.
Well, they just had it come out with this set. Theros, Beyond Death, has gold in it.
Why didn't I get a token?
We just didn't open it.
You got that right. So the gold token, if you were lucky enough to get one, it has sacrifice this artifact, add 1 mana of any color. Each opponent attacking that player does the same. So this is...
I like this card.
It's really good.
It's really funny because then the person's like, don't attack me. And it's like, but I want some mana.
I need the mana. Yeah,
I need the mana.
Can you imagine if it's like I get a clue? Or if like I get an artifact that I can pay 0 to sacrifice to draw a card?
Whew.
That would be called like a chew. I get a chew. I'm saying it right now.
What the hell is a chew?
I don't know. You just it's a 0 mana token artifact that you can sacrifice to draw a card. It's chew.
Yeah, but all these token artifacts are a thing.
This is going to be a thing too.
What's a chew?
It's just an artifact. It's something you'd like. It's like metal that you'd like.
Chew?
It's like you chew on it a little bit.
Oh my god.
Eric's like, what am I going to do with this guy?
Next up, we got Felwar Stone, which is 2 of anything for an artifact. You tap it to add 1 mana of any color a land an opponent controls could produce.
Yeah, chances are you're gonna get the mana you need.
Oh yeah,
In a 4 or 5 player pod.
someone should be.
All right, next up we have Fires of Invention. It's 3 and a red for an enchantment. You can cast spells only during your turn, and you can cast no more than 2 spells each turn. You may cast spells with converted mana costs less than or equal to the number of lands you control without paying their mana costs.
It's an interesting choice for the deck.
Yeah, well, you're spending so much mana to draw cards with Xantcha, and there's not that many instants, and there's not that many activated abilities, but you can definitely untap Basalt Monolith.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The deck also has Fire Diamond, so 2 of anything for Fire Diamond and its battlefield tapped, and it adds red.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like the charcoal diamond.
It's kind of like the charcoal diamond. Yeah. After that, we have Gilded Lotus. It's 5 mana for an artifact. Add 3 mana of any 1 color to your mana pool. Classic.
I like that mana rock a lot.
Me too. I'm glad it got a reprint 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause the price was too high.
It's
probably climbing again.
Oh, I'm sure it is. Yeah.
Next up is Mana Flare. 2 of anything in a red for an enchantment. Whenever a player taps a land for mana, that player adds 1 mana of any type that land produced.
Yeah, you remember this from last Commander, last year, Commander session.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
When I would cast this on my turn so I could just double my mana and then cast Exsanguinate.
Yeah.
Or Tormentive Hailfire.
One of the 2.
Yeah.
I'll just be sad.
Next up, we have a Mana Geyser. But you know what? Before we get to Mana Geyser, what's the fun thing about a Mana Flare in this deck is that it lets my opponents activate Xantcha.
Yeah.
And
a lot more times.
And train.
Yeah.
You know, and they get cards. It's just a very...
It works well with Xantcha for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all works together really well.
So next up we have Mana Geyser. It's 3 and 2 black for a sorcery. Add a red to your mana pool for each tapped land your opponents control.
It's 3 and 2 red.
It's 3 and 2 red. What did I say? 3 and 2 black?
Yeah.
Jeez, can you imagine? That'd be like Mana Black Geyser. That'd be like Dark Mana Ritual Geyser.
There you go. That's a good one.
Yeah, this is just a super underplayed card in red in general.
I think so.
In Commander, because there's
You're always
so many
getting so many
times
mana.
where your opponents have... If each opponent has 5 lands untapped, you've just netted 10 mana.
Oh, yeah.
And that's that can be pretty big on your turn 5 or 6 or what.
And a lot of players are tapping their mana because they want to be as most efficient as possible in their turns. So...
Yeah, and they weren't expecting this common from Fifth Dawn.
Yeah.
It's Fifth Dawn.
It's got that little helmet.
Because I got that super shiny foil. Fifth Dawn
has some
and
real...
Mirrodin, the best foils. They're so shiny. I remember when they were the artifacts are too light, they're being confused with white cards.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they're so shiny.
They're so nice and shiny.
They're so shiny, yeah.
WotC, bring it back.
Bring it back and don't make them curl.
Yeah.
Keep it non-curly.
Get this curling shit out of here.
Yeah, I like curly hair, but I don't like the curly cards.
Next up, good old Mind Stone. So it's 2 of anything for an artifact, which taps for mana. And then you can also pay 1 and tap it to sack it and draw a card.
Yeah, not as good as Commander Sphere.
But still good.
It's really good because it only costs 2.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next up, we have Neheb the Eternal. It's 3 and 2 red for a legendary creature zombie minotaur warrior, 4/6. That's a good rate. He has Afflict 3. Whenever this creature becomes blocked, defending player loses 3 life. And at the beginning of your post-combat main phase, add a red to your mana pool for each 1 life your opponents have lost this turn.
This card's really cool. Because if you can also work it out with your opponents that they drain with Xantcha before you go to your second main phase.
Yes. Yeah.
And you're just like, just give me a little bit of mana. You help me, I'll help you.
You're drawing cards, I'm getting mana. It's working.
Yeah. So next up is, Rakdos Signet. 2 of anything for an artifact. Pay 1 and tap it to add Rakdos.
Yeah. After that, we have Soul Ring. That's a classic. Then we have Star Compass. 2 mana for an artifact. Star Compass enters the battlefield tapped. And you can add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool that a basic land you control could produce.
I didn't know this was a card.
No? It's like Reflecting Pool, but worse.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually didn't know this card existed.
Well, don't tell anybody about it because it's going to affect the price. Oh, no. Are we telling a bunch of people about it right now?
Maybe. Next up, we have a Talisman of Indulgence. So these guys tap for colorless, and then you can pay 1 life to tap for black or red.
Nice. It should be a Talisman of Arachnos.
No, yeah.
No, Indulgence is
it
good.
Sounds better.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Of course it sounds better. Okay, next up we have Thought Vessel, which is a card that should not cost as much as it does, but it is 2 mana for an artifact. You have no maximum hand size, and you can tap it to add a colorless mana to your mana pool.
Good card.
But it's like $12.
I know. Let's keep rising.
Hey, Commander Legends, right?
Yeah, Commander Legends.
A Super Boys is what they should call it.
Give me a Thought Vessel.
Give me a Thought Vessel. Keep it a common, though.
Yeah. Don't do that uncommon thing.
Don't even do the uncommon thing.
Just
and
common.
Give me a strip-minded uncommon.
That card would never see print at uncommon.
Come on. Please?
Yeah. Next up is Thran Dynamo. 4 of anything for an artifact that taps for 3 mana. Hey, you can use Thran Dynamo to untap Basalt Monolith.
A rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
No, because there's no untap there. But yes, you could.
Yeah.
All right, next up we have Treasonous Ogre, one of my faves. It's 3 and a red for an Ogre Shaman, 2/3. It has Dethrone. Whenever this creature attacks the player with the most life or tied with the most life, put a 1/1 counter on it. That's not really important. But its activated ability is pay 3 life, add a red to your mana pool. That is some serious mono red ramp.
There's one game I went to I was around high 30s and I went to 9 health.
You gotta get that red mana.
Yeah.
Yeah, life is cheap.
Life's cheap. I don't think I won that one. So next up is Wayfarer's Bauble. It's 1 of anything for an artifact. You can pay 2 and tap it, sacrifice the bauble, search your library for a basic land card, and put it on the battlefield tapped. And shuffle your library.
All right, we're going to move on to the removal package in this deck. First up, we have Bedevil. It's black and 2 red for an instant. Destroy target artifact, creature, or planeswalker. And we do have a few instant removal spells in this deck, and a lot of times it's just to remove a creature that's blocking Xantcha, just to keep her alive so that I don't have to pay to recast.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Next up is Blasphemous Act. This is 8 of anything in a red. It casts 1 less to cast for each creature on the battlefield, and it'll deal 13 damage to each creature. I think this is like a red staple in Commander too.
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
if you're in red, I think you should run Blasphemous Act.
Just run it, yeah.
It's a good card.
The next one is cut from the same cloth. It's Chaos Warp. It's 2 in a red for an instant. The owner of target permanent shuffles it into their library, then reveal the top card of their library. If it's a permanent card, they put it onto the battlefield.
This is Red's way of dealing with enchantments.
You hit lands a lot.
But yeah, it's a really good way of just getting rid of any, the problem that you're getting rid of with Chaos Warp, whatever they get from the top of the deck is, 90% of the time worse than what you've gotten rid of.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. I had to think about that for a second.
Next up, we have Damnation. So 2 of anything and 2 black. It's a sorcery, and you destroy all creatures. They can't be regenerated
Because that's so prevalent.
Get your Yavimaya Hollow out of here.
I'm going to get your Crypt Sliver out of here. It's not happening.
It's dead.
Next, they're buried. All right, next up we have Last One Standing. It's a black and a red for a sorcery. Choose a creature at random, then destroy the rest. You're going to need some dice for this one.
Probably. Ooh, yeah. Next up is the Murderous Rider Swift End card from Eldraine. So you can pay 1 and 2 black for an instant, destroy target creature or planeswalker. You lose 2 life.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know you lose 2 life.
Well, it would be too good if you didn't lose life.
It would be, yeah. And then the other part of it for the
Swift End.
Murderous.
No, that was Swift End.
That was Swift End, yeah. I was reading because, like, it's weird how these cards are done because I think you always cast the, like, sorcery before or the instant before the creature. But anyways.
Yes, you would cast, like, the spell.
The spell before casting the creature to get the most value out of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, then the Murderous Rider themselves is a 2/3 zombie knight and has lifelink. And when Murderous Rider dies, put it on the bottom of its owner's library. So it just keeps coming back.
Yeah, I mean, after enough.
You can probably shuffle your deck and then it'll just be on top, obviously.
With my luck, yeah. All right, next up we have Phyrexian Scriptures. It's 2 and 2 black for an enchantment saga at well, we know how sagas work. So the first one, put a 1/1 counter on up to 1 target creature. That creature becomes an artifact in addition to its other types. Its second counter, destroy all non-artifact creatures, and its third counter, exile all cards from all opponents' graveyards.
This is a sweet saga.
Yeah, it's just the catch-all.
Yeah.
You know, like you target Xantcha with the first one, and then everything's gone. And the
Xantcha
graveyards are gone. Yeah, and Xantcha's just like swinging for the fences.
Yeah.
She's good.
This is a really cool card with this deck, actually.
Yeah.
Because, like, the one creature you're going to save, obviously, is Xantcha, so sweet. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
Next up is, I don't even remember that card. I'm surprised I don't see it more in... I guess it's like a delayed board wipe, so it's kind of weird to, like, run it.
Yeah. I think, that's probably why.
Yeah. Anyways, next up is Sudden Spoiling. So it's 1 of anything and 2 black for an instant. It has split second. And then until end of turn, creatures target player controls lose all abilities and have base power and toughness 0/2. This is really good for dealing with any problem, stuff that has like indestructible and all that kind of stuff. They're just like nothing, and then you can just kill it.
Yeah, and if those creatures are assigned to block, then you could cast that at the combat damage step, right? You could cast Sudden Spoiling at that stage of combat, that step of combat, and then those creatures would
like after like blockers have been chosen, you can then cast this.
Right.
Yeah.
And then those creatures, you know, if it's like a 13/13, that creature would die.
It's now,
right, from Xantcha being a 5/5. So next up we have Terminate. It's 1 and a black for an instant. Destroy target creature. It can't be regenerated. Buried.
Yeah, buried. Get out of here.
Yeah, it's buried.
Yeah.
Buried target creature.
Next up is Toxic Deluge. So this is 2 of anything and a black for a sorcery. As an additional as an additional cost to cast this spell, pay X life. All creatures get -X/-X until end of turn. And Toxic Deluge works super well with Sudden Spoiling. I like that little combo.
And Xantcha lives.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, baby.
We're in a good place.
Yeah. Toxic Deluge is probably the best black board wipe.
Yeah.
It might be the best board wipe in
just in
Commander.
general?
Yeah. It might be. Anything that gets around like Gaddock Teeg is pretty good.
It's pretty good, yeah. Oof. And like there are times within Toxic Deluge you're like, my health's not looking so good, and that's when it's kind of bad. But also like Toxic Deluge as a board wipe also gets indestructible stuff too.
Yeah.
So
for you Instagram followers, that's how you get rid of indestructible creatures.
With Toxic Deluge.
Yes. All right, moving on. Next up, we have Vandal Blast. It's 1 red for a sorcery. Destroy target artifact you don't control, and you can pay its overload cost, which is 4 and a red. You may cast this spell for its overload cost. If you do, change its text by replacing all instances of target with each. So that would translate to destroy each artifact you don't control.
Yeah. Vandal Blast is such a catch-all. Everyone always has mana rocks and stuff too. So you're like...
Yeah, if you're in mono red, you should just run it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of like running those sort of like stacksy effects in white. Like, because if like you have trouble ramping, then you should run the effects that...
slow other people down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, totally.
All right, so let's move on to the drainage part of this deck.
That'd be draining people's lives.
That's right. I was thinking about Daniel Day-Lewis in There Will Be Blood. I drink your milkshake.
Alrighty.
All right, what do we have here first, Eric?
First up, we have Captive Audience. So this is 5 of anything, a black and a red for an enchantment. Captive Audience enters the battlefield under the control of an opponent of your choice. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose one that hasn't been chosen. So that would be the upkeep of whoever controls it.
Right.
So your life total becomes 4. Discard your hand. Each opponent creates 5 2/2 black zombie creature tokens. So this is a fun one in Commander because 3 players... or, however many opponents you have, are each getting 5 zombies.
Hopefully it's 3.
Yeah. They're just adding 15 zombies to the battlefield. It's pretty sweet.
Okay, next up we have a Cut to Ribbons. The cut part is 1 and a red for a sorcery. Cut deals 4 damage to target creature. We don't normally use that, but it's a fine removal spell. And then we have X and 2 black for the ribbons. Aftermath, so you have to cast it from your graveyard, then exile. Each opponent loses X life.
This is a great finisher.
Yeah, that's the ribbons part is the one that we really want.
Yeah, and it's like you may have to cast it for the cut part to get it into the graveyard to use ribbons. But yeah, you may also be able to discard it. But also just dealing for it. If there's a problem creature, like cut's always good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then we have the big bad scary up next. Exsanguinate. So this is X and 2 black. Each opponent loses X life, and you gain life equal to the life lost this way. Man, that's just 2 finishers right there.
Yeah, if this card ever gets like a reprint at uncommon, it's gonna take such a hit because this is like an $8 card at this point,
which is crazy because it isn't uncommon right now, right?
Yeah, it was uncommon from Scars of Mirrodin. Never been reprinted.
I'm sure if they reprint this card now, it would be rare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it would still take a hit.
Yeah.
I think.
What's Cut to Ribbons? Is that? Yeah, Cut to Ribbons is rare. Yeah. So, yeah.
But if the ribbons like gained you life, that would make it a lot better. The thing about Exsanguinate is you gain life equal to the life lost this way. That's what makes it so good, right? It's like Green Merchant. It's like each opponent, it's like, I get all the life.
So it's like if you're sometimes in a situation, and you're about to die, you can also use this just to stay alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Next up, we have Fraying Omnipotence. It's 3 and 2 black for a sorcery. Each player loses half their life, then discards half the cards in their hand, then sacrifices half the creatures they control, rounded up each time. Man, why aren't I running... what's that card that Will used to run in his Get Rog deck?
Ooh.
You know what I'm talking about? Where, like, you'd pay X.
Death Cloud?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Yeah, because you can pay X and 3 black. Each player loses X life, discards X cards, sacks X creatures, and sacks X lands.
Oh, yeah, that's where they get you on the lands. What a great card.
I even remember, the last game we played, you totally played Fraying Omnipotence. That was annoying. Oh. All right, so next up is Fury Storm. This is the storm stuff from the commanders.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
2 of anything and 2 red. When you cast this spell, copy it for each time you've cast your commander from the command zone this game. You may choose new targets for the copies.
Yeah, so this is just meant to copy Exsanguinate or Ribbons, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, because you just copy target instant or sorcery spell, you may choose new targets for the copy. Mm-hmm. So if you cast your commander, because like Xantcha, you're casting at least twice a game.
Oh, yeah.
So I think she tends to die.
Yeah, and I have learned through playing Xantcha after almost a year of playing this deck is that you got to wait until after that first board wipe. Well, if I'm playing with you guys, at the local game stores, nobody plays board wipes, so it's like, all right, I'll just cast it. But with you guys, I have to like reset my strategy because you're like, nothing stays on the board. So next up, we have Havoc Festival. It's for a black and a red for an enchantment. Players can't gain life. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player loses half their life rounded up.
Jeez.
But that's, it's like you're only losing half every time. So even if you're at 2 life, you're only going to lose 1 life.
And this also can't kill you because it rounds up.
It always rounds up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But players can't gain life.
No.
That's like Trevor's favorite thing to do, too.
Yeah, she's always fucking doing that, isn't he?
So next up is Painful Quandary. So it's 3 of anything and 2 black for an enchantment. Whenever an opponent casts a spell, that player loses 5 life unless they discard a card. This is a good card.
I love this card.
This was also
love this card.
This is in my Croxa deck too.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
This is a really good black card. I feel like I should.
It's super underplayed, and I also think it's super undervalued. And if I thought our podcast was prolific enough that it would affect the price, I wouldn't be saying this right now. But it is super. I can't believe this card is like $10. It should be so much more expensive.
Yeah. Even picking up I definitely got to get some of these guys at $10 before it goes too high.
Yeah, let's buy them out.
Let's buy a Painful Quandary.
Let's get the foils.
Oh.
Yeah, Scars of Mirrodin foils, baby.
Yeah.
Okay, next up we have Rampaging Ferocidon, a once standard.
Yeah, this card was so good.
It was banned. It was banned in standard, but no more. It's 2 in a red for a 3/3 dinosaur with menace. Players can't gain life. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, Rampaging Ferocidon deals 1 damage to that creature's controller.
Ooh.
So don't try to get out of hand with tokens, because Xantcha will get you.
Also, I didn't know you had so many things that make it so players can't gain life.
Well, you got to.
You got to.
Because like you always got a Trevor trying to gain life. You always got a Trevor.
Always someone's trying to gain life. And that just really stops Xantcha. So yeah, I see why.
Well, Trevor's always trying to gain life, and I really appreciate his play style because it's taught me to get the players that are trying to gain life.
Yeah, because usually you don't really care, but then that can make a big difference sometimes.
Yeah, that's why I have a couple of Voltron decks. It's just like, hey, you have 60 life? I don't care. You're dead.
You're dead.
One swing, you're dead.
Bye. So next up, we have Reverberate. So this is just 2 red for an instant. Copy target instant or sorcery spell, and you can choose new targets for the copy.
This card is so versatile, right? You can counter a counter spell. You can copy an extra turn spell. You can copy anything. You can copy an Exsanguinate.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's you can copy your big bad end game spells. You can use this as a counter spell to protect your stuff. And red-black doesn't have counter spells, so.
Of course.
Yeah.
Unless you are going to run Red Elemental Blast or Pyroblast, which I don't have in this deck. Next up, we have a Planeswalker, Soren Markov, 3 and 3 black for a legendary Planeswalker. 4 loyalty. His +1 is Soren Markov deals 2 damage to any target, and you gain 2 life. His -3 is target opponent's life total becomes 10. And his -7 is you control target player during that player's next turn. Whew, he's good.
He's pretty good.
Why did he have to be so good?
Usually this is the -3 that comes out swinging.
Yes, and this is, we've talked about this before. I think we talked about this on our Commander Controversies episode. This is a card that was clearly printed before the popularity of Commander. Because, like Sarah Ascendant, instead of taking half of your life total, it takes 3/4 of your life total.
Exactly. And they could have said, like, you know, target opponent loses like half their life or whatever. But no, they're like 10.
10. It becomes 10. And with the card that, you know, at the end of this list, Wound Reflection, they're dead after that.
So next up we have the Torment of Hailfire.
Yes.
X and 2 black.
Your God Pharaoh has returned.
He's here, raining down. So you repeat the following process X times. Each opponent loses 3 life unless that a player sacrifices a non-land permanent or discards a card.
There's a lot of, like, when I've casted this card, there's a lot of, like, oh, you know, I don't know what I'm going to do. I got to count these cards. It's like, and some people, you know, forget that they can't sacrifice lands. And so they, like, put their lands in a pile. And it's like, no,
you can't do
I'm
that.
going to stop you right there.
Yeah.
That's not going to work.
Also, if you're like, X is 25 and people are like, all right, how can I survive? And their life total is like 10. You're like,
you're not. Mathematically,
you're not getting out of this. You're done.
It's like when you've gone 0-2 at a modern event. You're like, mathematically, I've been eliminated from prizes. I'm going home.
I'm going home now.
All right, last but certainly not least, in the drainage category, we have Wound Reflection. It is 5 and a black for an enchantment. At the beginning of each end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life they lost this turn, and damage counts as loss of life. In case you were going to be like, hey, it's different.
This card is so good in this deck, though.
Oh, yeah.
Because everything, you're just draining people and stuff, so.
Yeah, you activate Xantcha. Okay, 2 life. Guess what? It's 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the whole reflection cycle is so good. And I think really underrated.
Yeah, like I can't even recall what the other ones do off the top of my head.
Well, there's Boon Reflection, which is white. I don't know the mana cost, but I know anytime you gain life, you gain double that
Twice
life.
how much life.
I think the white one, I think the blue one is card. I think the red one is damage. And I think the green one is mana. Yeah, it's mana reflection. Anytime a permanent you control taps for mana, you add double that mana.
There's 2 cycles?
No, there's not. Don't be crazy, Eric. There's not 2 cycles.
There's green has mana reflection and also Dawn's reflection.
That's a different one. It's just mana reflection. Don't be crazy.
But yeah, the green one doubles.
Yeah, they're all from Shadowmoor. The whole cycle.
I think the blue one got reprinted because it's not popping up. Oh, it's Thought Reflection.
Thought.
Yeah.
Yes.
There we go. That one did get reprinted in Commander. Yeah, that one just, you draw 2 cards.
So whenever a card is, what does that one read?
If you would draw a card, draw 2 cards instead.
And what is the red one?
Creatures you control have double strike.
And the white one?
You're right with the gain twice life.
And the green one?
Green one is twice mana.
And it's permanent. That's what's so good about it, is it's like whenever you would tap a permanent for mana, double mana. It's like Nyx.
Yeah, so
it's like Nyx Bloom Ancient.
Yeah,
but not as good.
Yeah, because it'll be like if you have Soul Ring, it taps for 4. You know, or if you have Gilded Lotus, it taps for 6 of any one color. Holy!
God.
All right, so let's move on to combat inducing.
Yeah, this is a good one.
Do you want to make people hate each other?
Yeah. Okay, so first up we have Bolduvian Warlord. He is 3 and a red for a human barbarian, 3/2. His activated ability is tap, remove target blocking creature from combat. Creatures it was blocking that hadn't become blocked by another creature this combat become unblocked. Then it blocks an attacking creature of your choice. Activate this ability only during the declare blocker step.
Oh boy.
Yeah, that's a bit of a mouthful. But, yeah, it's just kind of a way to like choose like when Xantcha is attacking, if she's going to be blocked by a creature that would kill her, you can choose to block a different creature.
Cool.
Yeah, or you can choose her to be blocked by a different creature. But you can also do this for other creatures, right? It's not just about Xantcha, so that's also...
Yeah, you can do other stuff, but obviously you were trying to save Xantcha, so she stays on the battlefield and kills people.
You know what? I'm only trying to save Xantcha, and reading the Planeswalker book, I only want to save Xantcha more.
Hey.
Because she's the real deal, guys.
Even though she's a little on the bad side.
You know what? She's really not on the bad side. And if you want to know more about that, go and check us out at patreon.com/Turn1SoulRing.
And listen to the story. Next up, we have the Custody Lich. So it's 3 of anything and 2 black for a zombie cleric, 4/2. When Custody Lich enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. Whenever you become the monarch, target player sacks a creature. That's fun.
So good. Yeah.
But Mark's always fun. He dies to shock. People always run shock in Commander.
Oh, God. The thing is, if you're going to run shock in Commander, just run Bolt.
Yeah.
It's just better.
Bolts. It's just a better card.
Next up, we have Goblin Spymaster. It's 2 and a red for a Goblin Rogue, 2/1 with first strike. At the beginning of each opponent's end step, that player creates a 1/1 red Goblin creature token with creatures you control attack each combat if able.
This thing's annoying.
Yeah. I mean, I sort of built this deck so it would be annoying.
So it's good to hear. This is really good though, because obviously people have creatures they want to keep.
Yeah, like their mana dorks.
Yeah, well, I mean, you just tap the mana dork.
Yeah. But sometimes you want to like leave the mana up, like it can kind of screw up things you're trying to do.
Yeah, like they're like, oh, I have to use the mana from the mana dorks now, which sucks. So, because obviously you don't want to attack with it.
Well, there was a game we were playing. It was Riley's Thorbrand, whatever it is.
The red guy?
One, from Throne of Eldraine. And he played a Goblin Spymaster. And, normally I was playing Yisan, and I would keep Yisan untapped. But I had to tap down Yisan and search on a main phase so that I didn't have to attack. So, very... Very powerful.
It disrupts things as well, and not only makes attacks, but yeah. So it's a good card. So next up, we have the Maddening Imp, which is 2 of anything and a black for a 1/1 flying imp creature. You can tap it. Non-wall creatures the active player controls attack this turn if able. At the beginning of the next end step, destroy each of those creatures that didn't attack this turn. Activate this ability only during an opponent's turn and only before combat. That is a weird-ass creature, but also really good.
Honestly, it's surprising how often people opt to not attack with their creatures. And then they just get destroyed.
Oh, weird.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you just attack?
I don't know.
It's
a board state.
Sure, they're gonna die. All right.
Next up, we have Marchesa's Decree. It's 3 and a black for an enchantment. When Marchesa's Decree enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. Whenever a creature attacks you or a planeswalker you control, that creature's controller loses 1 life.
Huh. Look at that.
Yeah, just more monarch. It's not so much about the life loss, but that does come into play with this deck. Like, it is very much a deck that just drains opponents out little by little.
Yeah. And this, like, every little bit hurts. And obviously people want to be attacking to do things. So if they're losing life for attacking, they're not going to want to attack. Mm-hmm. But then you're making them attack. Ooh, that's a really good combo with the goblin. Because then they have to attack with even more creatures, and they're losing life. Haha. It's good stuff.
It hurts. I feel like in Commander, once you get to the 20 life mark, and you lose life after that, that's when it really starts to hurt.
Yeah. Because before then, you're like, oh, it's totally just a resource.
Yeah, from 40 to 20, you're like, it's fine.
It's fine.
But then after that, you're like, I think I need to do something here. This
I need
is
to watch what's
hurting.
happening. I could die.
I need this.
So next up, we have War's Toll, which is 3 of anything in red for an enchantment. Whenever an opponent taps a land for mana, tap all lands that player controls. If a creature an opponent controls attacks, all creatures that opponent controls attacks if able. This is a really neat card. Obviously, with the land thing, like when your opponent, like they have to use all their mana in one go, because you don't want to tap like 2 lands and have all your lands get tapped. But the really cool thing I like about this is when you have that person has Xantcha and they have to attack with Xantcha, they have to attack with all their creatures.
Yeah, and if they don't want to use all of their mana, like if they don't have things to cast with their mana, they can use that mana to activate Xantcha.
There you go.
You know?
So you're making them use it. But yeah, I really like how it still makes like your opponent attack with everything if they have Xantcha. It's a nice little combo.
Yeah, War's Toll is a super fun card.
Yeah.
All right, next up, we're moving on to the next category here, and I just gotta get this webpage working for me. It's a whole thing. Okay, next up we have helping out Xantcha. So first up we have Hearthstone.
Hearthstone? Are we playing Hearthstone?
Can we? I've been killing it in standard lately and wild. Let me tell you. Yeah. So Heart,
not hearth.
Stone. Not hearth. Hearthstone. It's 3 mana for an artifact. Activated abilities of creature cost 1 less to activate. This effect can't reduce the amount of mana and I just see these abilities, right? And I just like think, why hasn't the internet fixed this? I'll just read it from the beginning.
Sure.
Activated abilities of creature costs 1 less to activate. This effect can't reduce the amount of mana an ability costs to activate to less than 1 mana.
So you can't have abilities be free. But obviously now Xantcha
Costs 2.
only costs 2. So I'll
And
pay
this
2.
this is a global effect.
So it's also helping your opponents.
Yes.
You're like, hey, your stuff costs less. Don't hit me.
Yeah, and all their creature activated abilities cost 1 less.
Yeah.
So don't hit me. Also, you got
Xantcha.
Xantcha, draw some cards.
Come on.
Get this
Draw
guy.
cards.
Yeah.
Next up, we have a card I really like. It's Key to the City. So it's 2 of anything for an artifact. You can tap it to discard a card. Up to 1 target creature can't be blocked this turn. Whenever Key to the City becomes untapped, you may pay 2. And if you do, you draw a card. So you're looting through your deck, and then you're making creatures unblockable. You can make any creature unblockable.
Yeah, Key to the City is a really great political card.
So
because
good.
It's any creature.
Yeah. So if someone's doing like a Voltron strategy thing and they
Or
can't
if they're
get
just
through,
like, hey, I got Tainted Strike. You want to help me out here?
yeah. And then, of course, we can make sure that Xantcha's always getting through. Sometimes the commander damage from Xantcha's gonna matter.
Oh, yeah. She's a 5/5.
Yeah.
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 And sometimes you just want to help somebody out, right? It's like, hey, I just need to get this little bit of commander damage through. You want to help me out? It's like, yeah, I can, but then we give you Xantcha on the next turn. You know what I'm saying? All right, next up we have Rings of Bright Earth. It's 3 mana for an artifact. Whenever you activate an ability, if it isn't a mana ability, you may pay 2. If you do, copy that ability, and you may choose new targets for the copy.
That's so good.
So this is it's a bit of a combo with Basalt Monolith.
Oh, yeah.
Where you can just get infinite colorless mana. So if you do have enough red and black mana to cast Xantcha repeatedly, you can cast Xantcha and drain out each opponent and draw your whole deck.
That's really cool. Yeah, because you can just keep copying the untap ability for 1 less.
That being said, there isn't anything in this deck that allows me to reshuffle my hand or my deck into this deck, but I could always throw a Titan in here, but that wouldn't really solve the problem. You need something else.
But yeah, just getting the infinite, and then this obviously with the combo there, you have all the exsanguinates and stuff like that too. So just ending the game, infinite mana can always be nice.
Yeah, infinite colorless mana.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah.
Next up, we have a land, which is Rogue's Passage. So it taps for colorless, but you can also pay 4 and tap it. Make target creature can't be blocked this turn. So we're making sure Xantcha is always getting in. And this is also any creature as well, so helping out the opponents again.
Yeah.
Just like Key to the City.
Next up, we have Thran Turbine. This is it's an oldie but a goodie here. It's 1 mana for an artifact. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool. You can spend this mana to cast... You can't spend this mana to cast spells, but you can spend this mana to activate abilities. So you can use it to activate Xantcha's ability, but then, once you get past upkeep, it dissolves and
you need to use it then.
You need to use it then. That's why Thran Turbine is a super niche card.
You can also use it to untap Assault Monolith. You can use it to pay 2 when you untap Key to the City to draw a card.
Or Mana Vault. If you
also
have
Mana
it,
Vault
right?
if you have it.
I think. Because Mana Vault says
upkeep.
Beginning of upkeep, but I think it's during... I think it's been errated to during upkeep. And correct us in the comments if we're wrong.
If we're wrong.
I'm sure you will.
So next up is Crawl Space.
Crawl Space. Yes, please.
Next up is actually a whole new section as well. So we're talking about protection. Since deck doesn't have too many creatures in it, we may get attacked at times. So it's good to have some other stuff to prevent people from attacking.
Yeah, if you're not able to ingratiate yourself to your opponents, they might just attack you.
Yeah, you just don't have anything.
Yeah.
And your commander is on somebody else's.
Yeah.
The commander can't hit you, but it's still something you can't block with.
Wouldn't that be nice?
You can also just use it to block. You're like, ha. So yeah, Crawl Space is 3 of anything for an artifact, and no more than 2 creatures can attack you each combat. So nice little.
Yeah,
I like Crawl Space. Great. It's cool.
Next up, we have Koskan Falls. It's 2 and 2 black for a world enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice Koskan Falls unless you tap an untapped creature you control. Creatures can't attack you unless their controller pays 2 for each creature they control that's attacking you.
Sweet.
I like that they broke the color pie here, but it's you got to tap a creature.
Yeah.
It's hey, I broke the color pie here, but it's nothing to have this effect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if somebody board wipes, then it's well, there goes my Koskan Falls, sadly.
But they still have to board wipe.
They still have to board wipe. Yeah. Totally. Yeah.
What a great card.
I love this card, and I like how much we've been talking about on the show.
I love this card too, because this goes back to I think episode 4 or
something around there.
Yeah.
So next up, what is this card?
This card is this card has saved Xantcha from so many commander taxes.
I have not seen this card before. Okay, so Medicine Bag. It's 3 of anything for an artifact. You can pay 1 and tap to discard a card and regenerate target creature. Regeneration.
Yeah, and you always have to regenerate Xantcha.
Yeah.
But I normally do.
That's so funny. Oh my god.
It's a super silly card. Okay, next up we have Silent Arbiter. It's 4 mana for a 1/5 construct. No more than 1 creature can attack each combat. No more than 1 creature can block each combat.
So it's single combat every time.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. And this guy's also a decent wall too. He's a 1/5, so I like.
All right, so the last bit here we have are the lands. It's a Rakdos deck, so we have the Blood Crypt, we have the Command Tower.
Graven Cairns.
We got the Luxury Suite. We've got Smoldering Marsh. We've got Sulfurous Springs.
A Tainted Peak. Nice oldie.
Tainted Peak. Down.
Throne of the High City. What is this card?
It's just the one. It's the land that you can sacrifice to get Monarch.
So you have 3 Monarch cards in here.
I wish I had more.
I like the Monarch.
I really do. You know? It's just fun.
But yeah, so just a nice little land base getting there. And then we have Reliquary Tower as well, so no max hand size. You never know. It's a really good card in Commander, so sweet.
Yeah. It's just a normal, land base of 35 lands with Rogue's Passage, and we're covering all the colors. I don't have any land destruction. I probably should, but I play with you guys, but I also play at game stores, and there aren't a lot of lands that need to be destroyed, so I don't always think about it.
Yeah, we usually don't have too many bad lands either. Most of the time.
No, we don't.
But yeah, Xantcha and all, I really like this deck a lot. It's a lot of fun. Even though I'm always on the receiving side of it, I still think it's really cool.
yeah, and it is. And at the end of the day, it's just meant to be fun, and
messes things up for people, and
it's such an interesting take on a card and a commander that you can just give to somebody else, and then the opponents are in control of how they decide what they're gonna do with that card. It's just that's so much fun
because everyone knows that if I'm gonna drain this person, I do get to draw cards, but then the Xantcha is probably gonna come my way at some point.
Yeah, it is very. Yeah, and deciding, it's also a bit of a challenge who to give it to.
Yeah,
right, because you don't know how the board state's
gonna work out and stuff sometimes.
Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. Yeah, it's just too bad they didn't make it a foil.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for listening. You can find us on Instagram at Turn One Soaring the podcast, as well as all the podcast platforms, including YouTube. Remember to enter our February Instagram giveaway. What are we giving away, Eric?
Because we just did the other one.
We did. We're giving away a Theros Collector's Booster Pack, as well as all 5...
The Signets.
Yeah, that's right. All 5 Allied Signets.
Yeah.
They're custom, they're foil,
and
they're full art.
They look super pretty.
Yeah, they're very pretty. And then you know what? You know how regular Magic cards curl? These don't curl.
And they're foil.
They're foil.
What?
I know, it's crazy, right?
Watsy, what are you doing?
Watsy's. Oh, what are they doing?
Especially with the I brought one of those drops. The Secret Layers.
Yeah, you got the
Serum Visions
Serum
one.
Visions, yes.
Yeah, I decided to. It's been a couple weeks. Decided to take a look at them, and they're still
curled.
Got a good curl to them. And I was like, all right, that's cool. I'll just probably wait 2 months before I can use it in my modern deck.
Yeah, no, you gotta wait.
Sweet. And as always, check out our Patreon. We're talking about Xantcha and other things happening back then, all on Dominaria. It's really interesting. I really like the story and lore for Magic, so
yeah, check out Xantcha.
Yeah.
If you liked this deck, think about Xantcha as a character, because let me tell you,
she's a doozy.
She's got a lot going on. I'm not going to spoil anything here, but there's some stuff going on there.
Yeah. All right, everybody. We appreciate y'all.
Yeah. And we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye now.
Turn one soul ring.
Right target player. All right. Oh God. I just keep it's very delicate, the fingies. Oh, is that it?
What's... You doing okay?